Okay, so let's get back to the overview of the role-playing game. This is part 2. In part 1, we went over the general purpose of the game and some general warnings. And then we also talked about some of the details of the game with the sort of a description of the game itself and the schedule and a little bit about the factions as well as the prerequisites. So what we're going to do now is talk a little bit about the roll sheets and what you need to do with them and the information that's in them. You will be mailed your roll sheets prior to the game beginning, at least a week prior to the game beginning. And your roll sheet has the details of your character and what you need to do, what any of your assignments are. You will need to read this over really carefully and remember there are no small characters, just like in acting. There are no unimportant characters. Any character in the whole game can be absolutely pivotal depending on how you play them. So don't think that your role is unimportant or minor. Depending on the way you play them and what you do in the game, you can really make yourself very important. You will be graded on how well you stay in character. So if you do things that are outside your character or that are things your character wouldn't do, those will result in severe penalties. So pay attention to your roll sheet and what it says. Your roll sheet also will have secrets or powers that only you know about. Don't discuss these with anybody, and be very, very careful about what you share. Other characters may try to trick you or manipulate you into doing things, so you'll need to kind of stay on your toes. Keep your powers a bit secret. For some characters, certainly. And their objectives may be very different from you as well. You don't want to tell your objectives to anyone. If you say something like, hey, in the game I need to win if I do this, then someone may be alerted that you're an opponent, that you're someone they need to work against. So you may lose an ally or you may make an enemy that you didn't want to. In addition, in this game, and it's really, really important, you will have to be proactive. You're going to have to go after your objectives that are in the roll sheet. They're not going to just come to you. They're not just going to suddenly appear and be there. You're going to have to make them happen and be assertive about it. Unexpected things may also happen, and you may need to be able to react to them quickly. And again, being familiar with the roll sheet. The roll sheet is important for that. The game book, by the way, has a complete listing of all the characters with a brief description of them. So if you're looking for information on them, you can find it there. And the Blackboard site will also have a spreadsheet of which student in the class is playing which character if you want to email them and get in contact with them. Okay, so let's go over the elements of the roll sheets. The roll sheets themselves all have some common elements. The first thing that you'll see at the top is your character's name along with their faction, along with their group. Then after that, there's a brief biography, which gives some background on your character, personal elements. These are things you're going to have to kind of keep in mind as you decide what the character is going to do. Then you'll also see your responsibilities, which will tell you when you need to make your speech. Most of you have a speech to make, or when other assignments are due, what other assignments. The responsibilities section will also have things you need to keep in mind as you do. It will also have, most of you have extra research that you're required to do and to put into the game. So it'll have details about what you need to do there. The Blackboard site as well will have more specifics about what you need to keep in mind for the details of the speeches and the assignments. So it's kind of the rubric of how I will be grading those. And read over those very, very carefully. I'm not going to go over those right now. Bear in mind that you will post your speech, if you do a speech, 2 ways. You will post an audio version of the speech. The first one will be to a website so that everyone can listen to it. And then you will also post a written version of the speech. The day that you do the speech, you'll post that to the Blackboard site location. So you are not done with your speech until you do both of those, and you won't get a grade until you do both of those. So just remember, when you do your speech, you'll be turning those 2 things in. Those of you who are doing written assignments will find more details about that in the handouts on the Blackboard site as well. And by the way, please always ask questions if you have them. That's really important. You're not expected, again, to sort of know exactly what to do and how to do it all the times during the game. You're not expected to do this all by yourself, so please ask me if you have questions. And don't wait until the last minute to do things either, because that becomes really important in the game, that you're on top of things. The responsibility section also describes the retrospective, which everyone has to do, and this is a written assignment. It's just basically an explanation as your character. You're going to be writing it in character of what you did throughout the game, what goals you reached, which goals you didn't reach and why, what things you did well or not. And in this, I'm really expecting a lot of awareness of what happened. In other words, sort of show me that you were paying attention and learning. But certainly if you made errors or things didn't go your way, I'm looking for some sort of reflection or understanding of what happened. And this will be due after the game. But again, there's a schedule that sort of tells you when everything is due. After the responsibility section, you'll have a listing of your powers that your character has. These may include the number of votes you have, special powers, secrets, different kinds of things. And again, be careful about what you're sharing with others as to whether you tell them about these things or not. The next thing is a list of required readings, things that you need to read over. The required readings themselves are in the back section of the game book. So in the game book, there's a table of contents. It's in the first couple of pages. And the table of contents lists all the documents that everyone is required to read. You only have a certain number. You don't have to read all of them for the game. I will be looking to see that you've incorporated details of these, of the documents, as well as the individual research that you're required to do into your speeches and interactions with other characters. So go over these documents very carefully for the purposes of the game, and you also, of course, have to read them for the quiz before the game starts. They will also have information that is helpful to your cause. So again, they sort of serve multiple purposes. Knowing your opponent is important too in the game, so to get a little sort of leg up on them, you might want to read some other documents. It will help you fend off, other arguments as well. After that, there's also some strategy advice for each character. There's a list of potential allies that you can contact. You don't need to limit yourself to those people. It's just sort of to give you a starting place. Certainly feel free to contact others as you want to or feel necessary. And then there are sometimes some hints as to what to go or what direction to do things, or certain things that you might want to accomplish. The very last part of your roll sheet lists your goals and objectives for the game, and this part is really important. Pay particular attention here. This is a list of what things you're supposed to be working for, what you're supposed to be doing, and basically how you're going to win or lose the game. And the retrospective, I really will want you to show me that you knew those and that you were working towards them throughout the game with what you accomplished or not. In the game, we're going to be using two different technologies. They're both free to download, and they're both pretty easy to use. Of course, every software has weird glitches, but for the most part, I found these to be really pretty reliable. Most of you will be doing a speech. And this speech in the game will be an audio file. You will actually be speaking and people will be listening to your voice. So most of y'all will do a speech, or several, in fact, sometimes, as you feel necessary. A good software to record audio is called Audacity. It's available at www.audacity.com. You can download it for free. Audacity is not required. It is absolutely not something that you have to use. If you want to use any other kind of audio software, that's fine. I've just found that this one is of good quality. It's easy to use. But if you have another software that you use, that's perfectly acceptable. Remember that you absolutely must submit all of your speeches, submit all of your audio files as MP3 files. Nothing else. Only MP3 files. If you submit it as something else and it doesn't play, then it doesn't count toward being turned in. We have to, and that actually counts for MP3 files as well. If they're an MP3 file and we can't hear it, or it's very garbled, or there's a lot of static, then it will not count as being turned in. So make sure that you listen to them before you submit it. So let me just show you a little bit about what Audacity looks like. When you download the software and then open it up, this is the screen that you'll get. And basically you need to just make sure that you have a microphone of some sort. Most of you have a microphone of some sort either with your computer, or if you have a webcam that often has a microphone as well. But you'll just need to basically make sure that your microphone is set up. And all you do to start your recording is to push the red button. The red button is for record, and then when you're done, you push the brown square, and that's the end of it. That's all that you have to do to record. Once you're done recording, you will need to save it and export it. So what you do is you click on the file icon, and then you click on a menu will come down, and you'll click on export. And by the way, this is what a file looks like when you are finished recording. So you will press on the file and then press on export, and you will basically, once you go through all that, you'll get a file that looks a bit like this, where you will have a file name and where you want to save it. Note the save as type. That's a drop down menu, and make sure that MP3 files there is selected, and then press save, and that's pretty much all it is. Then you just have to upload it to the Slack site. So it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. It's not something that it is actually a fairly sophisticated. You can do a whole bunch of different stuff with it, but for our purposes, that's pretty much all you need to do. So that's Audacity. Again, not required that you have to use this, but it's just pretty useful. The other tech that we'll be using is a business chat site, and it's called Slack. It's also free to use, very easy as well. Slack is good because not only it's free, but because it's available for a lot of different devices. So you can use your phones, your PCs, your tablets, all different kinds of things. You can use those. You can have the site as well send you notifications of when people post things, which is really useful as well. And I would certainly recommend that you sign up to get those notifications sent. It helps you be able to keep up and react quickly if you need to with something in the game, especially if you're one of the main big characters. The main advantage for us, though, with using Slack is that you'll sign in as your character. Your real name should not ever appear on Slack in any way. You may have to put your email in, but you should never use your username or your login name. None of that should ever be your real name. You should sign in as your character. With that, only your character's name will be visible, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute, and it will be easier to stay in character. There will be a lot less confusion about who's talking to who because we'll only have the characters there. So that really helps the game, just being able to do that. There are 3 separate places where we'll be going to play the game, 3 separate sites on Slack. All characters, every single character will be in at least 2. Some characters will have access to all 3 of them, but everyone will be in at least 2, and you'll have to sign into at least 2 of them. The first site is the news and events site. This one is open to everybody. It's where all the public actions take place. It's where sort of all of the action takes place in the game and how we'll go through. During week 5 at some point, the Blackboard site will have a link to this news and events site. So once you get that link, once that link comes up, then you will need to, as soon as you can, immediately go to it, create an account, sign in as your character. Do this really early so that you can get in and sort of have that over and done with first and foremost, and then you'll have that out of the way. Once you've then created the quizzes or completed the quizzes, then you'll be invited to your faction site as well. So again, you want to get that stuff done early. So as soon as you complete both the quizzes, if you're in the Littleton Baptist Church group, you'll get invited there. If you're in the town hall, you'll get invited there. If you're a journalist, normally you're in both of them, not always, but you'll get invited to both of them. Again, try to make sure that you do this pretty quickly and sign into the other sites as soon as you can so that you do have both of them, because different things will be happening on different sites. And that way too, if there are technical problems, we can work them out prior to the game beginning, and you don't have the frustration of, you know, the game has started, it's now Thursday, I haven't gotten in. That's just going to be a big mess. So try to make sure that you go through that. Okay, let me just show you briefly what the Slack site looks like. This will be what it looks like when you sign in. The name of the site is up in the top left corner, so you can see up there it says News and Events. That's the site name. And then down below that it has channels. Any one site can have all different kinds of channels, and we may have different channels there too. This one doesn't really show it, it just has the hashtag general and the hashtag random. But we may have different channels there to have votes or to have different kinds of things, because then that might you know, just to make sure that things don't get really confused. So just kind of check out there the channels. And then below that it shows everybody who is a member of the site. They will have a little green dot next to their name if they're actually online. But that's everyone who is on the site. Now if you'll notice over on that side, those names, those are all characters' names. Those are not names of students. So everyone has been signing in as their character. And then you can see over in the main part of the screen, Game Master, it tells people, you know, when people join and whatever messages you've typed. So you can see Game Master is me, so there's just directions from me there. And then you can also see Bill Fisher and Barnaby Connor and Dolores Middleton have all signed in. And then there's also a little speech that one of the characters uploaded as well, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. And that's pretty easy to do as well. So if you want to kind of think about if you're in a different channel, you have to kind of make sure that you're in the general channel for most of the stuff that we're doing. It's whatever green is highlighted. So right now, you can see, and you just click on them, the green is random, so you're in the random channel now. But there may be other channels depending on what we're doing at that point in the game. When you click on the drop-down menu next to the title of the site, this is what you see. At least this is what I see, although I'm sort of managing the account. But it does let you set preferences and you know, different kinds of things to customize it, and you can switch back and forth from the ones that you're involved in a little easier, that kind of stuff. If you want to communicate with other people, Slack makes that really, really easy. You can just go, if they're a member of your group, you can do it through your group site. If you're wanting to communicate with another person in another group, you can go to the News and Events site. So say you wanted to talk to Bill Fisher, you would just click on their name and then type down below. And these would be direct private messages between you and this one character. Now, if it is between a direct message between you and the other character, I don't see it at all. So, I mean, sometimes you'll need to communicate with them privately, but remember that I'm going to be grading you on your participation and your, you know, what you're doing on the public parts of the site. So, if you're having a big debate about something, you may want to do it in the public site so that I can see it and I can see that you're contributing to that. But that's how you can talk to people, how you can communicate with others. Okay, most students really enjoy the games. They get a lot out of them. They report that it's a really good way to try to learn different kinds of topics. I certainly hope that y'all get a lot out of them too. Hopefully it will give you a lot better understanding of the civil rights movement and the personalities and the types of personalities involved at the very least. When you finish this lecture, I'd like you to email me at sbloom@troy.edu. and put the word Avengers in the subject line, just so that I can see that you have finished this. You don't have to have anything in the text of the email at all if you don't want to, but anyway, just so that I can see that you finished this. Please let me know if you have any questions. Again, I know this is something very new for y'all, so if you need some help or feedback, on what you need to do, as long as you've read the documents that you need to have read, please just give me a call or an email. Okay.